Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read today's Tuesday reading. And I'm actually going to be reading our new book that we're going to be starting in our uh, women's group. So we are starting this Saturday, so you still have a chance to come out and join us. And so we're actually going to be talking about week one, which I really love this book because it really breaks it down. So, like week one, there's nothing hard for God, and it kind of breaks it down what you're supposed to read on a daily, right? And then on the seventh day, it's like a catch up day. So if you miss something, um, this first week, you should have been reading Genesis 1 through 21. And it says, "My purpose is to encourage." The encourager today while you focus on the needs of those around you. Remember that God has not forgotten about you. He hears your prayers and remembers your heart, desires, and struggles. He posed a question to Abraham in Genesis 18:14. Is anything too hard for the Lord? And the answer is that there is absolutely nothing too hard for God. Ephesians 3:20 says that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think according to the power that works in us. There is nothing you could think of or ask that God cannot do. In the story of Sarah and Abraham, God told Abraham that he will make him a great nation, and from him all the families of the earth will be blessed. And that's in Genesis 12, 2 to 3. This promise probably didn't make sense to Abraham at the time because he and Sarah had no children. And well, into their senior years, they thought that they were too old. In chapter 16, Sarah still haven't had a child yet. So she took matters into her own hands and decided that Abraham should sleep with her maid Agar. Abraham and Agar had a son named Ashmael. God allowed it, but he did not ordain it. Hmm. You must be mindful that when it comes to the promise of God, you shouldn't take matters into your own hands. In chapter 18, God made Abraham and Sarah a promise or specific promise, one that didn't make sense. The odds were against them because of their age. Abraham was 100 and Sarah was 90 years old. By this time, it had been 13 years since God made his original promise in chapter 12, and they had seen no signs of their earlier promise. What do you do when you're waiting so long some and somebody is telling you that it's impossible? It's so impossible. What do you do when the promise just doesn't make sense? You got to decide in your heart not to give into the doubt. I know that is easier said than done. I've had to learn the hard way that doubt hinders the progress of your promise, paralyzes you, and keeps you stinged. It makes you want to take control rather than to trust God with your life. However, when you replace doubt with faith, you give God something to work with. It's easy to be skeptical when the odds are against you, but I encourage you to trust God to keep His word. When you replace doubt with faith, trust that God will do His part and release the blessing. You have to believe that there is absolutely nothing too hard for God to do. That's powerful. And so what I do love about this book, it does have questions that are personal. As I was reading, some of them really make you think of own, your own faith, your own journey with God, right? So the first question was, when you were faced with the impossibility, how did you handle it? And after this lesson, How would you handle those impossibilities going forward? Again, like it says here, faith, right? For us to wait, the wait is better than the rush, uh, because then, the blessing comes bigger, and it comes cleaner. It comes blessed, right? Because it's from God. Not saying that He can't bless, because He did bless Ismail, um, through Abraham and Hagar, right? But uh, the blessing that God has for you, the plans that He has for you are greater than our own. And so sometimes, like I would say, like in my personal life, like, God had a promise, even when they've told me it's really hard for you to have kids. God had a promise that I was going to have a kid. And I rushed to it. And I get to pay for some of those consequences all my life, right? I'm a single mom. This person has nothing to do with us. And so that's one of them, right? Trust and faith. And so for me right now, what I'm really looking forward to and keeping my faith is my health, because that's really something that sounds impossible to doctors. Like, this is a forever condition you're always going to live with. But for God, it's like, it's not impossible. Like, I know that He could heal me. So then, question two: what has this lesson taught you about your faith? Mm, to wait, to be patient, because it's coming, and something that I keep remembering, and I think I shared it last week with y'all, um, that heaven's time and earth time are not the same. So there's no clock in heaven. So there's no 6 o'clock, you know, there's no exact time in heaven. And so to know that I need to have a mindset of, like, I want to live in heaven time, not in earth time. Um, what areas have you discovered where you are strong in faith? What areas have you discovered where your faith needs to be strengthened? Ooh, I think it's almost the same question here. I would say my strongest faith is definitely keeping my faith on my health condition, right? The health condition that I deal with. Um, but definitely to strengthen that same, because I still do have my doubts there. And question four says, after this lesson, what are some impossibilities that you will commit to prayer? Oh, that's a personal one. I have to think about that. I can't answer now. And then it also says, it has three questions, and it says action for this week. Oh, it's actually an action. So it says, decide in your heart to think and speak possibility, replacing negative words with positive ones, making commitment to yourself to intentionally respond to your doubt with declaration of faith. Third, at the end of the week, note how speaking possibility into your life has begun to make a good impact on your outlook and ability to trust God. Oh, I love that. So that was really good. So definitely, again, if you're in the DFW and if you like to actually get down and actually get to know the word, learn from the word, grow from the word, this is perfect for you. We start this weekend. Comment, send us a message, and we'll definitely give you more details of location. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye. And like always, love, love, yo, girl. Cat. Bye, girls.